Do you have this weird feeling that you'd want to be a writer but you don't know where to start? Is your Pinterest full of writing advice that you'd love to apply but you don't know where? Do you ever see writing memes and all you want to do is laugh and say, "Huh, relatable"? Have you read fanfics on Wattpad or AO3 and all you could think was, "Man, I wish I could write something on my own and be as cool as them"? Well, I know I did, but if you're the same, fear not. I have spent the last 7 months of my life writing a short story per week to teach myself how to write. And let me tell you, it's not as hard as you think it is. So here I gathered 10 writing tips that will help you get started even if you think writing is not for you. Because I have a secret to tell you, if you think of becoming a writer, I'm pretty sure writing is for you. So if you're ready, buckle up and let's go. You've probably heard of the first 3 things that I mentioned, but I think they are a fundament of writing, so I need to include them anyway, but I promise we'll come to the more juicy ones in no time. So the first tip is read a lot. And I don't mean just read a lot of random stuff, but I really want you to read whatever you want to read and analyze what you like and what you dislike about it, so you can see how the sentences are structured, what kind of narrative they use, and like if they use fancy words or like more simple language and so on. And then you gather all this information and you can apply it in your next project and just see what works for you, and that will help you find your style eventually. So now to the second tip: experiment with writing. And to me, for this, the short stories are perfect because I love to read a certain book and then just take a certain thing from it. So like I mentioned earlier, like how they structure the sentences, and I apply it to my short story, and then that ensures that I always have like a new fresh idea for a story. And it also helps me improve and just test what kind of writing styles are for me and which are not. And with this tip, we come smoothly to the third one that I wanted to mention, which is write what makes you happy. And I cannot stress this enough. Please don't be afraid to write silly stuff. Like, I remember a few months ago, I wrote about a guy who got teleported to the dinosaur era, recording vlogs with his little iPhone. And yeah, of course, it's super freaking silly, but it also helped me a lot with improving my dialogues. And like, I experimented with like a different way of telling a story, which is like through vlog recording, let's say. And I don't know, it was such a fun story to write. And you know, I just had a lot of fun writing it. And I think that's like one of the most important things in writing. Like, you cannot sit down and like force yourself to write. I mean, sometimes you have to like push yourself to write, but it shouldn't be, "Oh, I hate writing, you know, I'm here as a punishment or something." No, I think like writing should be something you can have fun with, you know, and only then you're gonna like start enjoying the process and you can improve naturally instead of forcing yourself all the time. So anyway, don't just write what you think is acceptable, just break all the rules and have fun with it, and I'm sure you'll get there. Like, wherever there is, you'll get there. Okay, so these first 3 points were like super fun and all, but if you don't know actually how to write, I think the next ones are gonna help you manage this a little bit better. So our next tip is write randomly. Have you ever tried falling asleep and right before dozing off you have like a brilliant idea for a book or like a series of books, but they have no characters, no world building, no nothing, basically only vibes? If you had any of these moments, please don't tell yourself, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna remember about this," or like, don't dismiss it and think, "Oh yeah, I don't know, like something weird is talking in my brain, I'm just gonna forget all about it." These are your ideas for stories, books, poems, whatever, and you need to write them down. And it can be like really messy, it can have like no sense, it can only make sense for you, but if you write them down, I assure you that like something will come out of it, because like no idea is amazing and no idea is full from the beginning. So you don't have to write anything chronologically. You don't have to have all the characters from the beginning. You don't have to have all scenes written down in an order. Just get the idea down, and then your brain will automatically start thinking about it unconsciously. So yeah, just write it down, write randomly. Don't be afraid of being like messy. Don't be afraid of not being chronological. The rest like will come later, but just write what you have and work with it, and it's gonna be fine. So this tip was all about what to do when you have like certain ideas, but what do you do when you have no idea what to write? That's where our next tip comes in, and it's follow a prompt. This prompt can be anything from like one completely random word to like a phrase or a sentence or even a few sentences, and it can help spark your creativity. So the prompt can be completely random, like for example, a water bottle. But when you give your brain something to think about, like, you know, a water bottle, then you sit down to write and you're like, okay, so how can I introduce a water bottle into my scene? So you're like, oh, okay, maybe I have like a small boy with a family who hates water, and he one day finds a water bottle and he's like so focused on hiding it from his family that he, you know, like has all these weird adventures when his family like almost catches him, but like not really. So yeah, I just came up with it like right this second. So like obviously it doesn't make much sense, but at the same time we come back to the previous points. So like write whatever. And yeah, to be honest, I would write this story. I think it would be a pretty funny story. And that's how prompts work. They just make your brain work in a super weird way, and something fun and beautiful always comes out of it. And like the best part is you never expect what's gonna come out of it, because sometimes we also lock ourselves in these like grand ideas, like I don't know, the Hunger Games or something, you know, and we have to write like the best plotted book series in the world, and we forget that, you know, like small stories exist, and it's nice to just have fun from time to time and, you know, write about small boys hiding water bottles from their families. So yep, just use some prompts and see what comes up. So with all these points, you finally figure out what to write, but here's the problem. How do we actually get ourselves to sit down and write what we want to write? That's where time yourself comes in. So let's be honest for a second. We have so many things in this world that we could be doing instead of writing. Like you have TV, you have like TV shows, or like YouTube videos, or like TikTok, or like even you have like books to read, or like games to play, and so on and so on. So we have so many things that we can do instead that are much more easy to do, that it's almost impossible, at least for me, to just consciously sit down and start writing just because I feel like it. So that's where I found that timing myself had like helped immensely to just get me started. So you can give yourself a time limit, whatever works for you, to be honest. For me, I found that 30 minutes is a perfect time frame to like just get myself into the mindset of writing. And so I put the timer on and I write for like 30 minutes, and then if I feel like it, I can just continue on with the story, which is what happens very often. But if I don't feel like it, it's always like 30 minutes of writing, which is like a lot. And yeah, it's just a great way to motivate myself. But do what works for you. Like some people probably like to have like 2-hour sessions, or it can be even 10 minutes. So like whatever works for you, this is like where you experiment. But yeah, it's just a great thing to consider. You won't even notice the time passing by, and it will keep your attention where it needs to be. Also, when it comes to attention, turn your phone off and switch off the Wi-Fi. So these two are pretty self-explanatory, but I guarantee you they make a world of difference. You really don't need to check that word that you think you need to check, and you really don't need to research the things you think you need to research right in the moment when you're writing. You can always like highlight them, or like instead of the word you're looking for, you can just write a zebra or something and then come back to all the zebras and highlighted stuff later in the editing session. And I'm sure it's gonna make a world of difference when it comes to like your writing flow. And speaking of editing, that brings me to another tip, which is editing is not writing and writing is not editing. So if you don't want to spend 2 hours on rewriting the same sentence over and over again, you should definitely split your writing and editing sessions. And yeah, obviously it's easier said than done. I struggled a lot with this in the past, and I still struggle with it till this day, but that's where I circle back to the time yourself thing, because when you see the timer going like counting down, then you'll be less likely to get stuck and like repeat and try to rewrite what you've already written, but you'll be able to focus more on like just staying with the flow and writing as much as you can within the time limit. And then when the alarm rings, you can just go straight to editing and, you know, beating yourself up. But yeah, when you write, just focus on writing, and then there will be time for changing what needs to be changed. But if after all these tips you still struggle with actually sitting down and writing, you can consider setting a writing schedule. So that's something I did, and it helped me immensely with improving my writing. So I just set up a challenge for myself for this year to sit down and write for like half an hour each week, and try to follow a completely random prompt and write something. It could be like the shortest, weirdest thing you've ever read, but you know, it would be writing. So yeah, I just challenged myself to do this and to post whatever I wrote at the end of the week. And I wrote so many things that I never would have written, and I came up with so many ideas that would never come to my brain on their own. That's how setting a schedule worked for me. But obviously, like, everybody's different, so your schedule can look like write one short story per month, or like finish a chapter of a book you're working on in like every 2 months, or like write a poem every week, and whatever works for your writing goals. Just trying to challenge yourself to do something in like a given period of time can definitely help you improve and like motivate you to actually sit down and do what you want to do. If you're still here, I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and it really means the world to me that you're here and that you like want to listen to me and what I have to say and listen to my rambling and so on. But I really put a lot of work into the videos I put out, and I really always make them with my whole heart. So yeah, if you want to leave a like or comment what you like about the video or what you dislike too, then yeah, feel free to do so. Anyway, if you follow any of these 10 tips, I'm sure you're gonna improve like crazy. But I have one last one that really saved me a lot of times, and it's choose a song. So if I really get stuck when writing a story and have no idea what to do, I can't get the voice of the character right, or the scene is just not working at all, or like the dialogue feels like super flat, or like I don't know what to write next, then 99% of the time a song fixes all of that. So what do I mean? Spend some time on looking for a song that you think would fit the atmosphere of the story. Like, you know, if you're writing like a dramatic, super sad story, then you can look like at dramatic movie soundtracks or whatever and just choose one song, put it on repeat, and like try to get in the mood and atmosphere of the song and of the story. And like if you keep it on repeat and write for an hour, just the song playing on repeat, I guarantee you, I mean, I cannot guarantee you, but it works for me every single time. So yeah, I encourage you to try it and let me know if it works for you or not. So now that we got all of these covered, I thought I would move to the immortal question, which is, should I even start writing? To which my answer is always, I'm 100% sure you should start doing it. Ultimately, I think if you think of doing something, it really, really is just your subconscious trying to tell you that you should do it and that it wants to do it, you know? So like I spent years on my Pinterest gathering writing advice, saving all these beautiful paintings and saving like graphic design stuff. And, you know, and I thought I was just doing it for fun, but it turns out these are like my actual passions and something I'm pursuing now. Really, you'll find so much happiness in doing like all these things that come to you and, oh no, I can't do it because I'm not this type of person. Like, no, you are this type of person. So I'm telling you right now, if you're thinking about writing, you should just start. And I'm not saying it will take a month, you know, like it might take like 10 years before you start enjoying what you write. Like it took me, I don't know, 3 years of random writing to actually start enjoying what I write, to enjoy reading what I write. But like at every step of the way, I was like super forgiving and I just wanted to have fun with it. And ultimately I have so much fun writing that it's, yeah, it should be illegal, but it isn't. So, you know, like if you think about it, please just do it. And I hope I made it a little bit easier for you to start. So one last message of this video, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like you can write on a cheap piece of paper or like in a Word document that no one will ever see, and really just have fun, experiment, and everything will come when it's supposed to. Really, really, really. So don't worry about anything, just start and everything will follow.